the last minute. Thank you for having us here, Katarina. Thank you for the invitation to be here. Buenas tardes, good afternoon, Jon napot kivanok, guten tag. And I need these now. It happened about 2 years ago. I don't know why or how, but it did. We live in extraordinary times of rapid progress, but we're also faced with a very real and dark view of our common future. We have bigotry, racism, xenophobia, a fraying social cohesion, unabated climate change, social inequality, polarized politics, and the largest migration crisis in the history of the world, with over 70 million people on the move worldwide due to conflict, instability, poverty, climate change, and a lack of opportunity. We're now 1/5 of the way through the 21st century, a century of the most accelerated change in the history of mankind. The UN declared this the century of women. The wisdom of the UN is to give us the most troubled and challenged century in the history of man, knowing that we could fix it. We are witness to a very important conversion, the merger of responsibility, sustainability, and technology. Responsibility is driven by our collective awareness and consciousness. Sustainability is necessary to progress and accelerate mankind in a healthy and enduring manner, and technology is the nucleus of each and every sector and industry moving forward into the future. We cannot function without technology, we cannot live without sustainability, and our conscience drives our motivation to be a part of the solution. So what is Agenda 2030? In 2015, the UN in New York, heads of state and high government officials adopted the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and the 169 targets contained therein. This historic agenda, which was known as Transforming the World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, was agreed and signed by 193 member states. Shortly thereafter, the member states signed the Paris Climate Accord, the Global Compact, the worldwide recognition of the catastrophic impacts of climate change on the world. And one of the saddest and most troubling days for me as an American was the day that President Trump withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. You have to be someone of very little intelligence to think that we don't have a global problem that we all need to collectively come together. Fortunately, my Bill of Rights gives me the right of free speech, so I can say that without having... This Agenda 2030 is a plan for action focusing on 5 critical areas: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. It seeks to strengthen universal peace. It's a commitment to end poverty and hunger worldwide by 2030, which is a very ambitious goal, but very achievable if we start 4 years ago. Combat inequalities to build inclusive societies where we have gender balance and empowerment for all women and girls worldwide. But 4 years into this Agenda 2030 mandate, our impact is token at best. In a world where men are in charge, and this is not a bashing of men because blame is counterproductive, but 4 years in, the world is still a mess. And ladies, this is the era of the woman. This is our time to rise and make significant change. It cannot be us against each other. It has to be us together against the problem. In our century, this century of women, women around the world remain underworked, underestimated, undervalued, and underpaid. With women being integral to the solutions of the future and recognizing that technology will be the nucleus of all sectors and industries now and evermore, we have a collective responsibility to the young women, the future leaders of the future, to help encourage them to pursue education in STEM and become leaders in STI, science, technology, and innovation. Boys are typically channeled towards STEM. And even for me in the United States, one of the world's strongest nations, it's still a fact that girls are still guided towards traditional careers, nursing, teaching, childcare, all noble professions and all necessary. But still, we should not automatically channel girls in that direction. They should have every opportunity to be an engineer and to be a nuclear physicist and to be a brain surgeon, as any boy in the world should be. Business is ready for women. Governments maybe not so, but business is ready for women, and I can use my own daughter as an example for this. When we moved back to the United States from Germany when she was going into her 9th grade year, she was late enrolling, and the only class she could get into as an elective was 3D visualization and animation. She walked in on her first day and was the only girl in there, and 2 weeks into the course on parent-teacher night, her teacher said to me, with some practice, maybe she can compete in this and win by the time she's a senior. 2 months later, she competed and was the North Carolina state champion and went on to compete at the national level. The only girl in the whole United States to be competing at the national level, all boys. She did it again her junior year, her sophomore year, her junior year, and her senior year. And all the businesses were trying to recruit her as the only girl in 3D visualization. And quite ironically now, she's graduated from university, and instead of going into 3D visualization and animation, she's in law school. So it's not always what you're good at. You still have to follow your passion, even if it's not in the direction of STEM. But businesses are ready for women. We just have to give women the opportunities to be able to channel themselves in business. All of the channels and mandates we have for the future can be found in the wonderful blueprint that the United Nations gave us called the SDGs. And for the SDGs, each and every sector will depend on technology moving forward. Blockchain will touch each and every one of those goals and will touch each and every sector. AI, robotics, we talked about this all day today, impacting even the most unexpected sectors such as agriculture, with drones that can take surveys of land and provide irrigation and nutrient management, and microchips that are embedded into livestock so you can tell the quality of a meat before the animal is slaughtered, and the nutrients that the animal might be deficient from, and smart tractors that can tell how deep a seed is planted and how far apart the rows should be. Tech is an extraordinary opportunity, but it also has extraordinary risks. This year, cybersecurity has surpassed food security as the most important global concern. Now, we can't live without food, but without technology, we don't have food. If you think about that, you can't go to a grocery store and buy your food unless you have technology. Just try it once. Give the girl that's working the cash register, or the boy that's working the cash register, or the man or woman money and expect change if they don't have a machine in front of them to tell you how much change you're supposed to get back. But cybersecurity has surpassed food security as the most important global concern. And this is a phenomenal opportunity for young women to be pioneers of the future. But we have to direct them that way. We cannot directly impact all of the Sustainable Development Goals, or our impact will be greatly diluted. Impact one, strongly impact just one, in your business, in your personal life, in your social enterprise, in your charity, whatever the case may be. Set out to make a strong impact on just one, and you will have an ancillary impact on many of those goals. The SDGs represent our future, and technology plays a role in each, and women are essential to the achievement of Agenda 2030. We are as or more capable of solution-based thinking and actions than men due to our emotions and our perspectives and our ability to multitask, and on and on and on. However, to truly be able to impact the future in this century, women, we must uplift one another. 400 million women in this world live in poverty, so that's 400 million women who are largely voiceless, and we must be their voice. To start, we must stop seeing gender bias. Women can be CEOs and doctors without the moniker of woman in front of it. I can't tell you how many times someone will remark that I am a female CEO. Why can't I be a CEO? Or they took their car to a female mechanic and pray that it works when they take it back home. You know, a female dentist, a female engineer, but you never put that in front of a title for a man. And yet, all too common, we are referred to as females when it's an unexpected profession that we have. The business should be genderless. And once we remove the gender titles from business, we will remove the limitations that girls have in pursuing those careers. Likewise, in tech, it's assumed that men are more capable, as we've talked today. Although today we were reminded that our brains call that bullshit. Today, ladies, let's make a pact to change this. Let's encourage every academic institution to make the SDGs an integral part of their curriculum, and let's encourage STEM for all. Girls and young women, they're the leaders of today and tomorrow, as Greta has shown us. They're the rule breakers who will say, why not? They're the change makers, and they're the glass ceiling breakers. We must be their mentors. Globally, leaders must be the example. If they're not the example, they give permission for this behavior to continue. And I make that plea to my very own president. We, ladies, have a very important role because we are the ones that will set the pace for the future. We may not be the change makers that will make a difference for 50 or 75 years from now, but our daughters will, and our granddaughters will. And they don't think in terms of limitations like we do. So, one of the most important things that we can do collectively is to build our professional networks and to make sure that we get to know one another cross-sector and that we support one another cross-sector. And to do that, I always say, let's stop giving each other business cards because, hey, it's not sustainable. But B, it doesn't really help us build our networks. I think each and every one of you today should connect with one another on LinkedIn rather than giving a business card. Build your professional network. Let's unite together as women. And today, we can make a stronger future by following the SDGs, uplifting girls, and supporting one another globally. Thank you.